I'm not entirely sure if I've ever seen that. Yeah, sitting on the block would probably be a very king strat here. But that is not in my nature. Ouch. Okay, stop. Yeah, I messed up the shotgun. It's fine. Gain some health back. Not that it really matters when it just one-shot me. Interesting. That's the timing on that, you say? Oh, that was that attack. I thought it was... I can confidently say I have never seen that. I thought I got that one. Is it the angle, I guess? Not even that bad, but I was literally just cooking him out of my fucking mind. And the worst part is I still don't even know how his moves work. And also, we are definitely in tactic mode. No fusion mode for this scene.
Adam, I'm sorry.
Eve. With this, the history of humans is over. Your will, your actions, your decisions. I just hope that everyone is guided in the right direction.
Even in Adam's most final moments, he is still sincere and he actually still believes in the goodness
Adam.
of this Eve prototype.
Goodbye.
He still does. Now, if that is one way to create an impression, then I don't know what. Now the problem here is that the guidance of this new enhanced humanity, the Unbro Eidos, is not down to Eve. It's down to what Mother Sphere wants. And Mother Sphere is not gonna align with the thoughts and decisions that Eve wants to make. Our Eve. She's mainly just gonna be a tyrant that acts on her own agenda and motivation that she has been indicted with. So even though Adam wants the best possible outcome from this that he can, unfortunately that is not going to happen because we do not have the leadership role in this entire universe.
Is like mapping out the night sky.
But this hologramic little girl does instead.
You catch a glimpse of a shooting star falling towards Earth. Yes, seeing the future is just like that.
Did she just,
fully respect your
did she just metaphorically say that predicting the future is
a
unpredictable?
bittersweet one. I will be waiting for
Or
you.
it is down to superstitious beliefs?
I will be watching.
You know, because predicting...
Is it
Yeah,
done?
whatever.
Is it finally over?
That is...
Yes, it is. Eve and Lily. It
This
is time
almost
to
seems
go
like a
home.
marriage ceremony with what she just said there. I always get the same vibe when I hear those lines with this, like, heavenly church music on the background.
But we still have things to do. First, let's pay Mother Sphere a visit. We have a few questions for her.
I still don't even know how to... I still don't even know the Elder Naytiba's moveset, by the way. I still don't. It's the shotgun, the stingers, and the explosive railgun. They cancel enemies' attacks. In case you haven't noticed, that's one of the reasons as to why they are so fucking broken. But the thing with it adds so much like variety and like expression to the combat, you know? So like if I use them, it's so fun to use them. But if I don't use them, encounters are literally just harder. But doesn't that simply mean that the encounters are harder because I'm not playing to my full capacity? You know, like I'm literally playing not as good as I could be playing if I don't take advantage of every single bit of variety and content that the game has in it, right? So there's this kind of like weird like dichotomy of thinking, you could say. Whereas if I
can see the colony.
used the gameplay mechanics of the game less, then the game would be harder. But it would be also less fun to play because there's less expression for the player to show. And I absolutely love and adore expressiveness when it comes to combat in games. Also, something that was pointed out, I didn't even think about it myself too much, but that looks like an atom. Like an atom. Or is it an atom? Atom? Yeah? Yeah. That looks like an atom. And that was pointed out by the blind playthrough artist that I was watching play through this game for the first time. She was like, that looks like an atom. Atom. Or I don't know why I have a problem saying that word. Is it with a D or with a T in English? In Finnish it's with a T, but in English it's atom or atom? 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 Protons and atoms, and I think it's an atom. You say it with a T in English, don't you? Atom? Or is it atom? 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 Anyway, fucking pointless detail. Notice how Adam's name is separated on the cast. He's the protagonist. No, but like... the greatness of the hero is dependent on the opposition, on the, should I say, prominence of the opposition, you know? And Adam is definitely it. He probably is my favorite character in this game. He probably is. Also, this ending is not that bad. Like, I didn't think that this ending was bad on my first playthrough either. But it's when you compare this ending to the secret ending, now that is where you have a hard sell. Because holy smack, that secret ending fucking kicks some butt. But that is also really cool. Also, these credits last for quite a bit of time, and I don't really have... You know, I don't really have anything new to exactly say. Like, usually I always have something new that I want to, like, gather and explain in these credits after games, but... this time... I've already said everything I wanted to say previously. So there's nothing really this time around that I want to say on this. But I don't wanna also break the scene, so... I'm just gonna leave them playing, and I'm gonna come back in a second. I'm gonna get something more to drink. And then continue yapping about some enlightened nonsense, as I always do. You know what I could actually talk about? I'm gonna talk more about why actually okay, so you know how I mentioned how Stingers, the explosive railgun, or the railgun ammo, as well as the shotgun railgun, they basically cancel most of the enemy's attacks when you use them, right? They cancel almost anything that the enemy does. I genuinely feel like they should maybe go almost and patch that away from the game. Almost. I feel like if I go ahead and say about that interaction that it makes the game too easy, would I be lying? No, I don't think so. Now, do I think that being able to play the game the way I do takes a good amount of skill? To the point where maybe the player should be rewarded by being able to do what they do? I don't think even then I would justify this, to be honest. I think obviously yeah, it takes a very good amount of skill, yes, but it is kind of an animation cancel at the same time. Being able to swap the ammo before or immediately when the railgun comes up. All it literally is I press the D-pad down to swap the ammunition, which would normally swap the combustible item, but right before the combustible item inventory pops up, like that UI, I open up the railgun, so it opens up the railgun ammunition swap instead. And that is why sometimes, well, not sometimes, but all the time on my gameplay, you see that screen pop up, or that HUD pop up for a millisecond on the screen when I swap the ammo. Because of how fast I do it, you know? That's just muscle memory getting used to it, you know? I don't think the developers ever intended that somebody was gonna be able to maybe do that. They balanced the whole of the fight in the idea that whenever you use your railgun, it's like a calculated and very slow approach to the fight, kind of. It's like when the enemy takes a step back and does nothing, that's when you have the railgun and you tease them with some shots or something. That I feel like is the intention of what they had with the railgun in boss fights. But if you play with the railgun the same way I do, you can downright absolutely shit on literally any fight in the game. You go from the reactive party, even on the harder fights, to being the proactive party that absolutely, hunts down the opposition. You are literally the boss, not the other way around. As corny as that is to say, that's how I feel whenever I beat a boss in this game. With this playstyle. I literally feel I feel bad for whatever I am fighting because of how fucking OP I am. As weird as that is to say, you know? But that's literally just how I feel about it. Genuinely. But, you know, I guess next game that they make, you know, Stellar Blade 2, the sequel, I do hope that they actually take this into consideration. If they have the pod, drone railgun work mostly the same way, just make it so that when you shoot with it, and when enemy is doing an attack, especially let's say if the attack is say blink, repulse, or a yellow attack that you cannot block, at least on those attacks, don't allow the player to cancel outright anything that they do when they start one of those attacks and you shoot them at the same time. That honestly, it is so cheesy, honestly. It really is. It makes it too easy. The thing is, I would be more than fine. More than fine if the Stinger if the blaster, if the shotgun shell, if the explosive shell, if all of those did not even stagger the enemy that I was hitting them with, but just did a different amount of damage and had different AoE on them, especially like versus stronger enemies, I would be more than fine with that. Because then it would be more so just very hard skill expression, where you have to be insanely fast, but you also have to rely on your dodge mechanics and parries just the same amount as anybody who does not like put even more like APM into their gameplay, you know? But like when a lot of the time when I use the railgun, I can trust that it will cancel the enemy's attacks as well. It makes it so that, you know, I don't have to like think a whole lot of what the enemy is doing a lot of the time. Now there are some exceptions to this, like unidentified Naytiba, Raven, as well as Providence and the Elder Naytiba. Those 4 bosses or encounters, they actually counter your move. If you cancel something they do at times, they will do an attack after. They won't just sit there and like be completely still. Like Raven, for example, she starts... If her combo gets cancelled at times, she starts like new full combos because her previous combo was cancelled, like literally on a dime. That's something I love about fighting Raven, is that despite of me like, you know, playing the way I play, Raven still feels incredibly engaging to fight all the time in all of these playthroughs so far. Because she really feels like she does not like give up. She feels like relentless when you fight her. And that's something I really love about her. She feels a lot more like a traditional difficult boss than the Elder Naytiba or the unidentified Naytiba. And also, Providence was incredibly enjoyable to fight also on my previous playthrough. Like the exosuit, the mech, like, it felt a lot the same to fight as a Raven. Like Providence feels like he's also, or the exosuit is insanely like relentless with its moves. Like it feels like even if you cancel some of his moves or some of its moves, like it does not just open you a free window to just punish or something. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels more like an actual like formidable opposition where you genuinely have to actually like take a bit of time to respect the opponent more, even with my playstyle. You know? And that's something I really love about Providence as well, even though I've only fought it once. But next playthrough I'm gonna fight it again. Surprise. And, you know, is the next playthrough gonna be the last one? Well, depending how the playthrough feels, I might do a new game plus with also base damage on the blood edge. But that will really have to be seen if that happens. But if that does happen, now that is gonna be a fucking challenge and a half. Because I already experienced the Eidos 7 up to the Abaddon fight on a fresh save with the base damage on the blood edge. But the difference is that I didn't have almost any of the skills. I didn't have any of the combustibles. I didn't have like a nigh unlimited amount of like resources that I can like just throw at the boss. I didn't have the pod railgun because it's not a new game plus save or anything. So when you take all of the other like mechanics into account, it's so much more doable than like bare bones doing a fucking fresh like hard playthrough save, which is basically just a new game character, early game character that you just put in the new game plus environment. Like that is just insane. Especially in this game, that is. In Souls games it's a lot more doable, but well, Souls games in terms of like From Software Souls games. That's why people love to do those like you know, fresh character like New Game Plus 7 challenges or whatever. Like those are actually more doable because there's a lot more like cheese mechanics that you can do that you can very quickly like become overpowered when, you know, you're doing like runs or playthroughs like that. in From Software Souls games, which is why those are a lot more doable. But in this game, like when I was doing that, like, you know, previous playthrough, when I tried to do like the fresh new game save and the hard mode immediately from the get-go, like that was just, like that was borderline like torture, is how bad that was at a point. Like fighting one enemy at the time, or like several like weaker minions at the time, was actually totally fine, even on that difficulty. But immediately when there was like 2 strong enemies at the same time, or 3, it was just not possible, like literally impossible. Like there was literally nothing that you could do to break the tension. No pod railgun to like break the enemy's attacks. I mean, I get that's the idea with the pod gun. Honestly, I do. When you have like a group of strong enemies, how do you break tension in a way where you actually can like take a bit of turns deciding which one of them you want to fight? Like that is where the pod railgun, that is where the burst skills, that is where the beta skills come in handy, you know? Like the game wants you to use those mechanics to disrupt the enemy's formation when you're fighting several strong enemies at the same time. Because otherwise it's just too impossible. You literally cannot dodge and parry like 3 or 4 of like stronger enemies hitting you at the same time, if not even weaker enemies hitting you at the same time. Like you literally do not have enough iframes to dodge and parry them all at the same time. It's literally not possible. Technical impossibility. So the only way to break tension is to use those new auto mechanics. The drone railgun, I mean. The beta skills and the burst skills. Like you have to use them, you know? So I do understand that having the drone railgun stagger the enemies on those hits is important for that purpose. But they could have balanced it in a way where maybe in boss fights, like bosses would be coded like very specially for the drone railgun, where like the shotgun and the explosive ammo does not actually stagger a boss, but they stagger normal enemies, you know? They could have just done it like that, and it would have been fine. Now this actually brings back another example that I was thinking of, a different game that allows you to, well, let's just say it respects the player maybe a little too much, but it's very fun at the same time. But I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest. And that's Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong also, it respects the player's powers, abilities, and attacks also very significantly, like this game also does. But what that does is it belittles the power of a lot of enemies, particularly bosses. Because like when you're able to like do like some strong charge attacks or abilities on bosses that actually like fully stagger on whatever the fuck they are doing, like throw them fully on the ground and then you just wail at them for free or whatever, like those kinds of like forceful like interruption mechanics that you can have on your disposal all the time like that, like they are very fun, don't get me wrong, it's a fun power trip to have, but that also removes so much of the necessary skill cap, you would say, from a lot of the fights, because you don't actually have to learn the fights nearly or anywhere near as much than if you did not use those mechanics, or if those mechanics were not available to you. But at the same time, if the game is intentionally designed in a way where the encounters or the enemy's attacks are so crazy that it is intended for you to disrupt them, the way you do in Black Myth Wukong or in Stellar Blade, as 2 examples here, then that's part of the gameplay, that's part of the fundamental design then. But I don't know. I think it might just be a personal thing as well. But like I'm used to like in From Software games and well mainly in From Software Souls games where like bosses that you fight, you can hardly even parry them. Like in Dark Souls 1 there is like literally like you can parry Gwyn. Apart from that, like you can hardly like stagger him apart from like some heavy attacks at times, you know? Dark Souls 2 is a lot the same story. You can parry some here and there, like some things, but that's about it. Otherwise, you have to respect the boss fights or just do enough damage where you can just kill them with nothing but pure skill and stats, you know? Dark Souls 3 is also a lot the same to that. It's either parrying, maybe some backstabbing bosses, like you can backstab Sister Frida, for example, and you can parry her as well, and, you know, there is some, like, weaknesses that the bosses show like that, but otherwise, like, they are very formidable opponents that you have to learn most of the time, like, really well. But in this game and Black Myth Wukong, if you're just creative enough and you just get on the flow state and you know what you're doing and what you can abuse to, like, make bosses easier by mainly just by the game mechanics themselves, then I feel like that takes a lot out of the experience of maybe what the intended experience for those fights is supposed to be. But then again, if the game is fundamentally designed for you to disrupt the enemy's attacks the way you do, and that is taken into account when it comes to the difficulty or the presentation of the game's action, then maybe it is appropriate. In Black Myth Wukong, I feel like it's mostly appropriate. The journey to find the truth continues. This text is different compared to the other ending. I think the other ending text was their journey continues. I think it was literally just that. But this one is journey to find the truth continues. And we get this text because we chose the evil ending. We sided with, not with Adam, because Adam knew what the truth was. Was the source of it all. He had all of the answers, all of the information. And we just mostly spat on his dreams. Oh, that is... Oh, God. The background main menu theme changed because of what my previous ending on my last save was. Ah, I hate that. Oh, God. I really hate that. Man. That is... that hurts. That really does hurt, wow. Oh well, it's normal Eve there on the background again. There we have it. Ah. But yeah, if you have taken any like gander as to where I have rated Stellar Blade when it comes to like, you know, my favorite ever games that I have played. Stellar Blade, I believe, if I check now, Stellar Blade is sitting at 7th from a compilation of 29 to 27, depending from the perspective of impactful games that I have played in the last few years' time. Right under Lies of P, Dark Souls 3, or well, I mean, right under games like Lies of P, Dark Souls 3, Nier Automata, Sekiro, God of War 2018, God of War Ragnarok, and Bloodborne. Right under that kind of a lineup. And honestly, I think it's about roughly exactly where I'm gonna leave it at. Yeah, Armored Core 6 is very, like, close to following Stellar Blade as well. Like, Armored Core 6 is really good as well. And then, obviously, Elden Ring. But I feel like even for myself, I have trouble deciding which order I should have Stellar Blade, Armored Core 6, and Elden Ring. Like, I know that Lies of P and Dark Souls 3, for me, are both better than Stellar Blade, Armored Core 6, or Elden Ring. Like, Lies of P and Dark Souls 3 are better than those three. But as to which order I would put those three is very fucking difficult. Very damn difficult. Like, I don't know how exactly to say this without it coming out rude or something, but I feel like Stellar Blade, it feels a lot more like a AA game. I think, like, genuinely from my experience playing AA games and indie games and AAA games, Stellar Blade more so lands for me on the category of AA games, but it had a AAA budget because of Sony. So, you know, it's understandable. Like From Software, for example, when they made Bloodborne, they were not a AAA company at the time. I would consider From Software a AAA company when they were developing Sekiro. Like Dark Souls 3 was like on the verge of AAA, pretty much. And then I think Sekiro and Elden Ring and Armored Core 6, they are absolutely AAA games. Like completely AAA, no questions asked. So like, yeah. And Shift Up, like, they literally just made mobile games before this. So like, you know. Imagine going from mobile, like, gacha games to creating that. Like, that is fucking impressive as shit. To go from mobile games to creating this game. But it's not as impressive as going from creating mobile games to fund your own production as Game Science did when they created Black Myth Wukong. Now that game, oh my goodness. There's gonna be a fucking riot if that game does not win Game of the Year. I think that we can be assured of. There is none more deserving, honestly. That game is just something else. I'm not gonna hurry myself to go play back it though, because the last 2 chapters, as well as the fucking transformations in the game, literally remove like 20% of your performance on PC. Like, they need to fucking fix that shit. Like, when there's a lot of fucking action happening, it is fucking infuriating to have to always have frame-gen on in that game, literally anything you do in that game. And you have to intentionally also lower your graphics settings to an excessive amount, just because of the performance during the action scenes or during fights, as well as when you use the transformations. Otherwise the frame rate dips are just so fucking bad, it's literally like fucking headache inducing. It is so bad. Like, they have to fix that. And then the last 2 chapters, I had so bad experience doing the fucking chapters 5 and 6 that those left a very strong tarnished mark from that game for me. But if we are talking Black Myth Wukong from chapters 1, 2, 3, 4 and the Erlang Shen fight, that is likely some of the best gaming I have ever seen anywhere. Like, that is, in my eyes, that might just be actually fully unsurpassable until truly proven otherwise by some other, like, absolute prodigy of a game. Like, wow. The peak of that game is just fucking absolutely fucking impeccable cinema. Oh, but anyway, I'm a little off topic again. Next time I turn the stream on... Oh, yeah, also. Can you guess as to how many days I've played this game now? My first stream with Stellar Blade was 29th of last month. I have almost played this game for a month. Yeah, imagine that. And I'm not gonna lie, I am getting wildly bored. Not necessarily by the Well, actually, no, I should not say that. I am getting mildly bored at this game, yes. But that is not because necessarily I feel like the combat is getting boring. I feel like the opposition is what bores me. Like, it's just the way I play this game. Like, I don't feel like the opposition is just not good enough. Like, that's literally just what I feel. Like, I feel like the game just feels too, like, easy for me, you know? Like, it's very fun to play still, but, like, you know, at some point you just want some variety, you know? So it could be very likely that the next playthrough is gonna be my last, and then I leave this game to its rest. Until the PC release comes. Which I will absolutely guaranteed be playing on day one, by the way. Not unlike when I said that I was gonna play, like, Hellblade 2 on the day one of the release of the game. Like, that game is actually going on a pretty reasonable price right now. Like, I can buy it for, like, 24 euros or something, but I'm just gonna wait for, like, Christmas sale and then play it after that, maybe. Another, like, you know, well, the first Hellblade was an absolutely incredible game for what it is. I'm very excited to play the sequel as well. But yeah, if the opposition of the new game, well, not the new game plus, but the next playthrough on the base damage of the Blood Edge feels like it actually matters a lot more. Now here is the thing though. It's not so much that I feel like it's down to stats. Like, I feel like that's a problem with this. Because it doesn't really matter how tanky something exactly is that I'm fighting. It's more so the mechanics themselves. Like, the bosses and the enemies give me way too much room to breathe all the time, always. So it always creates this, like, conundrum of, like, me being more like the predator in every, like, one of these fights and not the enemies being, like, the oppressors, you know? And I think, like, depending on the person, like, what they like about games, like, some people want to be the boss, obviously, always, you know? If we talk, like, more, you know, philosophically about this, like, this, like, concept, where, like, some people just want to be, like, as strong as possible and just, like, have that, like, power trip. But for me, I get bored of that power trip really fast. Like, I really enjoy when I have to put a lot of effort into a game to be really good at it also at the same time and reap the rewards of, you know, getting something exceptional done because I'm really good at it. But if I'm good enough to the point in the game where I feel like the opposition is no longer interesting to me, then I lose interest also because of that. So, like, that's kind of a complicated conundrum that there is there. So, see about that. But yeah, the game is still very fun to play. It's just, you know, give me a fucking challenge, you know? Speaking of challenges, there's this boss challenge thing. And there apparently is some nanosuit you can also get from it, but guess if I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't like doing, like, boss challenges in games. I feel like it just devalues the, like, epicness of bosses that you encounter when you normally play the game. Like, it, like, devalues the impact that they have in the journey when you play the game normally. If you just have, like, the, you know, on a button press you can just go and demo any boss you want. You know, it kind of... It removes a lot of the greatness from the moments where you encounter those. And that's the thing that kills it for me when it comes to, like, these boss challenge modes or whatever. Boss challenge, boss rush modes and stuff. That's why I have never, like, done the boss rush modes in Sekiro either. Even though there is some costumes to be had and the boss fights, the inner father, the inner Ishin and the inner Genichiro, for example, they are different from the ones in the base game and more difficult as well, but I don't have a single bit of interest to do that because it devalues the coolness of those encounters in the real game, you know? So like that's the reason as to why I don't like them. But I totally understand people who do love them, you know? For a lot of people, when you play a game, you want nothing more than just experience that. You're playing just a game. You're here just to be entertained. Depends a lot from the person, of course. But, you know, I always want more from games I play, you know? I mean, that's the reason as to why I stream this anyway and say my thoughts and all that, you know? But yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling now. It's been long enough. I'm just gonna continue tomorrow once again, probably. And if not tomorrow, then maybe the day after, take a small break and come back possibly or something.